Every time I see that shot of Ozzie Guillen on the Open, I think of him saying, "I love to iron."
I do. That's what he said.
I do. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Good Day Arlington. Howard Sudberry, along with Alyssa Ali, where we talk a little bit about everything, including Arlington and, of course, horse racing. Live racing here beginning at 1:20 this afternoon on this Memorial Day weekend, so plenty of time to get out here and watch our live racing. And the weather is turned. It is beautiful outside, but, you know, the Chicago way, now we're all going to complain that it's too hot, right?
Yes, I already started yesterday.
Yeah, after we were freezing Mother's Day weekend, or at least the day before. You know, speaking of heat and red hot, did you happen to see the NBA game last night between Boston and Cleveland?
I did not, but I heard about it.
Well, LeBron James stepped back and he hit 2 3-point shots in a row that was the dagger and really killed Boston at the end. And I was thinking about that. Now there's a Game 7. It's going to be compelling in Boston. But if Boston beats Cleveland, and if Houston happens to beat Golden State, at that point, I'll only be mildly interested in the finals.
Yeah, you know, with the finals without LeBron James or Steph Curry is definitely going to take the sizzle out of it because, you know, fans love their superstars.
They do, and we have one in horse racing right now,
yeah,
and that is Justified. It is one of the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown. You know, everybody has a job, and, you know, everybody every day doesn't love coming to work, except for race callers. Our race caller, John Dooley, is here right now. I know he's ready to go every day because it is a lot of fun up there, and it's an elite group. There are a lot of them. And NBC's Larry Colmus was in quite a tough spot last week as he called the Preakness, Alyssa.
Yeah, if people aren't aware, it's going to go down in history because, not just because Justify won and the second leg of Triple Crown has been done before, but because of the weather that was happening. It wasn't raining per se, but it was so foggy at post time, you couldn't even see the horses. So that had to make it very, very difficult on track announcer Larry Colmus.
Yeah, Justify obviously was the lead story, the big story, but track announcer Larry Colmus, he was a big story too, as he sorted out the horses in the fog, and I talked to him earlier this week. Larry, I've found nearly as many people were talking about you and the job you had to do as Justify after the race. I think Bob Baffert even referenced you. Did you find that? Did you get a lot more attention this time than after a normal Triple Crown race?
Yeah, I think I certainly did, Howard. I mean, obviously the fog was the reason for that, and you thought about it leading up to the race where the fog just kept getting worse and worse, and it actually took a little pressure off of me because I figured nobody else could see it either, so I just had to get through it. And well, yeah, but you're right. A lot of people, you know, took notice, which I think overall is good for our horse racing announcing profession. That people take notice of what we do under adverse conditions, and so I thought that was a good thing.
Well, in some ways, Larry, in a lot of ways, you don't want to see a day like that ruined for the people that go to the track, and you'd rather have a fast track for the horses, but it added to the drama of the race.
It did, and it became extremely dramatic, especially when they were making their way around the turn and they disappeared for a while into the fog, and there were really no good camera shots for, you know, a good 3 or 4 seconds, and when they came out of there was good magic and Justify head and head, and people saw that, oh, they're battling and they're coming to the top of the stretch, and it was just pure excitement as they emerged from the fog around the 16th pole to see what was going on, and it was a different thing, but a very cool thing.
So, like the rest of us watching on television, did you lose complete sight of the horses for a few seconds?
Briefly on the far turn, if you were watching the race on NBC, you saw what I saw, because I was watching the race other than when they were approaching the finish line and when they came by us the first time. I was watching off of the monitor, the exact same feed that everyone was seeing on NBC, and there was a brief period on the far turn where you heard me saying they've run 3/4 of a mile in 1 minute 11.42 seconds, which was a lot of extra syllables as I bided time until they came back into view. And then I said, as they run into the fog at Pimlico, by that time we had a camera shot. So just a little filler, but it worked out fine.
So last question, and I'll see if you can guess what this question would be. On the list, when somebody's interviewing a race caller going into a Triple Crown, what would you be asked the most often? And then I'll ask it.
Going into the Triple Crown, calling a Triple Crown bid,
Yes.
probably people would ask me whether I have something planned for the end of the race call. Was that what you were thinking?
Bingo. You got it. You've done an interview or two in your day. So do you have, say he's in front, do you have, and it looks like he's going to win, do you have ABC in mind, or does it just pop into your head?
You have to be in a situation like this where it's a moment of history. You have to have something in mind, but that can be thrown out the window if it's a photo finish. And so, yeah, you do have to have different scenarios. But hopefully, if he does win the Triple Crown, it would be like American Pharaoh did, and he could let me, do scenario number A, which would make life a lot easier. But we'll see. I haven't at this point come up with exactly what it is. Some thoughts have been going through my head and starting to get there. And you don't want to make it sound scripted, but you do want to be prepared if the moment comes.
That was an unbelievable day, great race, and then the scenario with the fog and everything made it even more unbelievable. And our track announcer here, John Dooley, one of the best in the country, he's been through it, I'm sure, many, many times.
He absolutely has, and what Larry was talking about, just the race call in general, people remember that, especially for big races. I'll never forget 2015, the Pizza Man winning the Arlington Million, first Illinois bred, and he says, and Chicago erupts, and boy, did we. So people remember that, and the track announcers are very important in racing.
You remember that because you picked the Pizza Man. That's why you erupted.
I just wanted to say that so you would, admit.
I can tell you that. Oh, I don't have to admit it. It's fact. Now our ESPN 1000 Sports Center update. Almost June as the baseball season now rolls along. And let's go down to the ESPN 1000 studios for our update from ESPN's Fred Hubner.
The Cubs got 7 strong innings from starter Kyle Hendricks and put together a 4-run seventh to beat the Giants 6-2. Ben Zobrist and Chris Bryant each drove in a pair. Brandon Morrow picking up his 11th save. Jose Quintana faces San Francisco in a rare Saturday night game at Wrigley Field. White Sox Ronaldo Lopez allowed just 2 runs over 7 innings and left the ball game with a 4-2 lead. But the Sox bullpen couldn't hold it as they lost to the Tigers 5-4 in Detroit. Hector Santiago starts at 3-10 in the Motor City. LeBron James wasn't ready to end his season as he scored 46 points, leading the Cavaliers to a 109-99 win over Boston, forcing a deciding Game 7 Sunday night. WNBA play, the Sky fell to Seattle 95-91 in overtime. In soccer, the Chicago Fire face Orlando City SC tonight in Florida, and Real Madrid and Liverpool meet up today in their Champions League final. From the ESPN 1000 Sports Desk, I'm Fred Hubner.
And, of course, in addition to all that, live racing here at Arlington, including a stakes race today, one of the big ones, the Arlington Classic. And, Alyssa, the weather in 2 words.
Beautiful and hot. Absolutely.
That's 3.
Okay, come on. 2 adjectives.
That's a technicality. That's the way it's going to be. Hey, let's help somebody we got to
talk about that. Benny's Taste of the Track is coming up next weekend. It's our ticketed wine tasting event. So if you're watching at home, you can enter to win 2 tickets to Benny's Taste of the Track by visiting arlingtonpark.com/GDA to win.
And that is one of our great events of the year. So please, as Alyssa said, visit the website. Good Day Arlington on NBC Sports Chicago is brought to you in part by Tito's Handmade Vodka, the preferred vodka of Arlington International Racecourse. And coming up next, a true American hero who served in World War II, and his division regiment was the inspiration for the hit show Band of Brothers. You don't want to miss this.
Pure royalty. Take your Triple Crown game up a notch and purchase a VIP ticket for an all-inclusive red carpet experience at Arlington International Racecourse for the 2018 Triple Crown races. Watch and wager at Arlington.
Welcome back to Good Day Arlington on NBC Sports Chicago. We're very excited to introduce our next guest. Al Mampre was a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army from 1942 through 1945. He was in the 101st Airborne 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment, I believe. Is that correct? All right. I'm doing all right so far. And Band of Brothers was a television show that was made about this regiment. And we welcome Al to Good Day Arlington right now. Glad to have you here.
Very happy to be here.
Well, good. I want to ask you something. Do you talk very much or think very much about the war, or is it something that you just have blocked out of your mind as the years have gone on?
Well, actually, I talk too much anyway. But for a long period after the war was over, we didn't talk about the war, even when I was with fellow medics that were in with my outfit. You know.
Yeah.
We'd talk about families and jobs and things like that. It wasn't until after the Band of Brothers, my children were grown and out of college and everything, I started going to reunions and got to meet some of the fellows. But generally speaking, most of the fellows didn't talk about anything significant about the war. A lot of people that are younger do not even know what their fathers or grandfathers did during the service. And I find that it's a shame because they should know this history.
They should. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Alyssa, everybody watching right now, you're a hero.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a hero?
No, I don't think there is any such thing as heroes. We were trained so well that our mission was our goal. Whatever the mission was, we focused on that. And we are oblivious of anything else that's going on. You don't think about, oh, this is bad, this is dangerous, this is that or that. And we're focused on the mission. That's what it was. And a lot of people say to me, I wouldn't be able to do what you did. You don't know what you can do until you face the situation.
Yeah.
We were just ordinary people that came out of farms and cities and places like that, put together and became trained brotherhood, so to speak.
Yeah.
Al, you're talking about the younger generation and people maybe saying that to you. What would your advice be, or what would you want the younger generation to know or to act like, their attitude to be like, knowing what you and so many others like you did?
Well, from a general statement kind of viewpoint, freedom is not a given.
Right.
And when you're in Europe and Holland and places like that, they take their freedom extremely serious. When you're in Holland, the children participate in everything that goes on, every ceremony. They lay wreaths, they read poems, they sing, they march, they do everything. And in their class, when you go classroom, you see books on freedom on their desks. And I've heard others, veterans say, well, we don't have that attitude. I said, because you didn't go through what they went through. That's why they appreciate what they have.
Right.
I know a woman, that her name is Christelle, that takes 45 children from Bordeaux up to Normandy to show them and meet veterans and stuff during D-Day celebrations and to show them what was involved in their freedom. And it's quite a moving thing. I don't know what else to say. We have a lot of young people that I meet a lot of young people as I travel around the country, and I do a lot on fundraising things and talks and stuff. And we have a lot of what I call straight arrows. There are people that are very patriotic, even the little ones, and
Good.
very conscious of what their freedom is all about. We're in good hands.
That's good to hear.
That's awesome.
We're going to have a few more questions for you when we come back, but we're going to take a break right now. Good Day Arlington is brought to you in part by our friends at the Daily Herald. For the very best in local news and sports coverage, the Daily Herald. More with World War II veteran Al Mampre coming up as we continue on Good Day Arlington.
decided from the very beginning that you wanted to become a paratrooper.
Yes.
How and why did that happen?
Because it seemed to me like it'd be an interesting thing to do in the Army, a little different and a challenge, and I was always ready for a challenge. Yeah, they thought we were stupid because the planes were perfectly good and we were jumping out.
Welcome back to Good Day Arlington on NBC Sports Chicago on this Memorial Day weekend, visiting with World War II veteran Al Mampre. And Al, I want to start you out. Tell us the story about when you went to the bank recently and you had a little conversation with a young person there about your war service.
Yes, this young lady behind the counter at the bank asked me if I was a veteran. And I said, yes, I was a veteran. I am a veteran. And I haven't gotten used to past tense yet. Anyway, she said, well, what war were you in? I said, the Civil War. She said, oh, that's nice. Well, I was somewhat shocked, but not too surprised because a lot of young people do not have any inkling of our history, and it's a shame.
That is a big shame.
Did you tell her about Ulysses S. Grant or anything?
Well, I thought she was going to ask me if I knew Lincoln. I would have said no, I knew Washington. She wouldn't have known the difference.
Not at all.
That is hysterical, but it's unfortunate at the same time.
Ella, we saw some shots coming out of break about, of Band of Brothers. Did you watch the show, and what did you think?
I've seen it once. I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
But yes. Now, the Band of Brothers originally were a negative group because of the captain we had, who was very determined to make his company the best in the whole regiment, which the colonel wanted to be the best in the Army. And so we were trained beyond what the rest of them were being trained, and we were on this experimental training program for developing paratroopers. But the only one problem was that he couldn't read a compass, and he couldn't read a map, and he couldn't find his way out of a paper bag. And so the sergeants, three of them, decided on behalf of the men that they didn't want to go into combat with him because they figured they'd get them all killed. And finally, they thought there was going to be a mutiny, but of course there wasn't. And they put in Dick Winters, who was just the opposite. He didn't go to town or stuff. He studied tactics and all that sort of thing. He was fair. He was firm but fair, and he had a lot of respect for his people, and they him. And that turns the thing around to a positive thing, which created this Band of Brothers that you hear about.
Interesting, fascinating. Last question, and we will let you go. Now that you look back on your service, and I've heard, war is described as hell. It's not like it is in the movies. Are you glad you had the experience, and did it teach you life lessons?
I was certainly glad that I was in that situation, and I went through it. I wouldn't want to repeat it, but it was a developing period in my life. And to tell you somehow what war is really like, when I came into the little town of Zahn, the citizenry came out in their finery and they're waving their orange flags. They thought they were liberated. No way were they liberated. And a machine gun opened up down the street. Well, they were gone in a flash. They'd been there, done that. I stepped back in a doorway, and the machine gun's firing, and a woman's hand came out with a spoonful of cherries. She's feeding me cherries. Well, machine gun's firing. War is really hell. I tell you.
Wow.
Now, I would recognize that arm, but I would never recognize the woman because I didn't see her. The shooting stopped, and I just took off down the street.
Oh, my
Interesting.
goodness.
And I feel bad that I didn't thank her.
Well, maybe she's watching.
Maybe.
Well, I wish we could talk to you all day long.
Yes.
We're glad we had this time with you, and to us, you are a hero. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me
Thank
here.
you
And
so much,
enjoy
Al.
this Memorial Day weekend. Al Mampre.
Thank you.
This portion of Good Day Arlington is brought to you by International Hair Designs, a full-color salon. They do it all. They're the official hair and makeup artists of Good Day Arlington. For an appointment, visit internationalhairdesigns.com. Back after this.
Pure royalty. Take your Triple Crown game up a notch and purchase a VIP ticket for an all-inclusive red carpet experience at Arlington International Racecourse for the 2018 Triple Crown races. Watch and wager at Arlington.
And welcome back to Good Day Arlington Live on NBC Sports Chicago, live every Saturday from 11 to 11:30. That was fun, wasn't it, Alyssa?
That was a lot of fun. I was saying off camera, I wish the show was an hour long.
Yes, I do too. There's no question about that. Tomorrow, as you know, we salute the village of Arlington Heights, our home here in Arlington. And it's Arlington Heights Community Day tomorrow. And this village has a really vibrant downtown area, and one of the best spots is Peggy Cannan's restaurant. Alyssa and I like to eat. We like to have a Guinness or a Harp once in a while.
3.
Even before the show, once in a while, we could use it. And we both got to do both those things as we visited one of the best Irish pubs in Chicagoland. Let's start with the name, Peggy Cannan's. There's a story behind it, and everybody wants to hear it.
I named this after my mother. My mother's maiden name is Cannan, and Peggy Cannan. It's definitely become a very popular name within the Chicagoland. It's catchy, and it's got a lot of meaning to me, and I think it's just perfect for our pub.
Derek Hanley immigrated from Ireland as a young lad, and the Irish pub world was kind of in his blood.
Well, I grew up in a pub in Ireland, and I've been a bartender since I was a little fella in my parents' pub, and so the industry itself has been kind of bred into me, so I've always wanted to have my own restaurant pub.
His food is authentic Irish, and it is terrific. All the dishes you think of from an Irish pub, shepherd's pie, fish and chips, and a one-of-a-kind specialty, fried mashed potato balls, a huge favorite.
We're going to grab some mashed potatoes, our homemade mashed potatoes. And what we do, we're going to mix it with egg, cheddar cheese, some chives, and some bacon.
The food and the fresh Guinness made perfectly. And there is an art to making Guinness. Are the stars. Or maybe they're the co-stars with the real Peggy Cannan, who just happened to be visiting when we were there. And do people ask about the name, and do they ask about her?
They do every day. A lot of people just want to know who Peggy is, and they're surprised when I tell them, where the name comes from, because a lot of people that have been coming here for a long time really had no idea.
What was your reaction 17 years ago when Derek opened the restaurant and he said he was going to name it Peggy Cannan's?
Well, it was a great privilege for me to have this pub called after me. So, yes, I'm very honoured. Yeah.
Was it a surprise?
It was a surprise, it was, yes. But it was always his dream to have his own pub, and that because he was reared at home in a pub. So, yeah, and he's doing a fabulous job here, himself and his wife, Michelle.
Do you like Guinness?
No.
So after all these specialties had been prepared, somebody had to taste it. So Alyssa and I sat down at the bar and had a little bit of everything.
Cheers to Peggy's.
To Derek. Cheers. Cheers.
Amazing. I love fish and chips. Oh my gosh.
Peggy Cannan's, fantastic place. That wasn't sped up at the end. That's the way we eat.
Yes, that's for sure.
No question about it. So if you're in Arlington Heights, get down and say hi to Derek, and maybe Peggy will be in town. All right, let's pick a horse here, Alyssa, for anybody coming out today. The Arlington Classic is race 8, and who you got?
Yeah, we'll talk about it. It's a grade 3, a mile and 16th on the turf. The turf is soft today, so just be aware of that. But I landed on, I believe, the same horse as you did in here.
I believe you did.
Not so much a Sudberry versus Ali. We're both on the 6.
Yeah, we have a little rivalry. We pick against each other, but not this time. We're both on Pont de Garde. Throughout last race, ran terribly in a tougher race down at Churchill Downs on a kind of a real wet track. I think some of his better races could put him right in the picture here.
But now that I just remembered and saying that there's a soft turf course, this horse might not really like a softer turf course. So
then change your mind.
I may be changing my mind, but I don't think I'm allowed to do that.
All right. I don't know. It's up to you.
It's my game, my rules.
You make the call. Yeah, there's no question about that. All right, what's coming up at Arlington?
Yeah, we have a lot coming up. Obviously, Howard, as you said, today, Memorial Day weekend. We're looking forward to it. Next weekend is Benny's Taste at the Track, our ticketed wine tasting event. You've got to get your ticket for this event. ArlingtonPark.com, the place to go. Can't beat it. Wine tasting, horse racing, the best.
And there's no better place to have breakfast than at Arlington. So you can come out and watch the horses train. We'll grab the microphone, do some interviews with some trainers or jockeys that happen to be up there. It's a fun time for all.
And Northwestern University Day on that Sunday, June 3rd as well. But now let's check in with track announcer John G. Dooley for a sneak peek of next week.
Next week on Good Day Arlington, we welcome Northwestern University. Plus, we take a look behind the scenes at a typical early morning on the Arlington backstretch.
And that is next week right here live. And if you can't tell it's live, watch us every week because we mess up once in a while. You
mess up once in a while.
We do. Live on NBC Sports Chicago from 11 to 11:30. Thank our guest today, World War II hero Al Mampre. He was fascinating to listen to. Let's have a good day at the racing. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you next week at 11 o'clock right here. Thank you.